All right, you guys. I just covered an article from Yahoo detailing how the Trump team is attempting to take over the Fed. The bill that they just passed through basically puts the Treasury in charge of the Federal Reserve, essentially nationalizing half of the financial market. And then I watched the Trump press conference. And what did I take away from that article? Well, I took away two things. One, the hugest part was obviously that the guy was insinuating that Trump had sneakily bought up the Federal Reserve. But the other takeaway I got was BlackRock. Never heard of it. And it was funny because in the Trump press conference right after that, he he gives a little wink to BlackRock, and he adds on to the nationalizing of the financial markets. So let me just play you this clip. Okay, now this reporter is about to ask him a question about Boeing, and I want you to pay close attention to his answer.
I wanted to ask you about United Airlines said today that they're worried that there's not enough money for them in the $2.2 trillion bill that you just signed, and that at the end of the sort of aid period, which would be the end of September, where the restrictions on layoffs come off, that they could be seeing significant layoffs. Sure. And so I was wondering what your reaction to that was, and what the administration might do to prevent.
So yeah, sure, it's a good question. We have brilliant people. We have a tremendous amount of money, and we have brilliant people that I'm taking from Wall Street with Secretary Mnuchin, who's done an incredible job, a brilliant guy. I'm taking from Wall Street people that I've known, that you all know, the top people in the world. They don't want money. They don't want, I mean, will they get something? I guess maybe they'll get, who knows, peanuts, what they want compared to what they would normally get. I'm taking the smartest, the most brilliant people in the world in finance, and they're going to be dealing. I'm not going to hire somebody that's never done it, that's a political person or anything else. We're getting the most brilliant financial minds in the world. I know all of them. You know all of them. I mean, you read about all of them. I guess some you don't read about, and they're probably the smartest of them all. But the fact is, we're taking these brilliant people, and they'll be dealing with United, and they want to help. Look, the airline business, I'll tell you right now, the airline business has always been a tough business. It's always been a very tough business, tough to make money with. It's got every barrier you can have, that business has. But for our country, it's very important. We have to take care of our country. We need the airlines to stay. It's also big for jobs. So we will be able to handle United, and we'll be able to handle Delta, and we'll be able to handle all of it. We have plenty of money. Now, will we end up owning large chunks, depending on what these great geniuses decide, along with the executives of the different companies? You know, it's possible. And they'll make a better deal on the loan, but the taxpayer will then end up owning a big chunk of companies. As an example, Boeing. Boeing, until a year ago, was the greatest company, I think, in the world by far. There wasn't anything close. I believe it was 1% of GDP, okay? Think of it. One company, 1% of GDP. It was flawless. Then it had the problems, and then it had on top of it this whole thing with the virus. So Boeing will probably need a hand, and we're going to bring Boeing back to health. But we have the smartest people in the world. We have the smartest, I don't even know if you know that. I think this could be the first time you've heard it. People like Larry Fink we're talking to, and that's BlackRock. And we have, the smartest people. And they all want to do it. They all, I mean, this to them, they love this country. They all want to do it. So we're speaking to people like that, and they'll be able to work it out.
So, are we going to own a little bit of the airline companies? I guess maybe. That's Trump's way of telling you we're about to nationalize the airline industry, I guess. Boeing, 1% of GDP. He has been saying that for months. Boeing, I could never ever would have believed it. It was 1% of GDP. Why? Because the 737s crashed. Because of the uninterruptible autopilot. You could look into Field McConnell on that one. But the Boeing 737s crashed, or were crashed, however you want to look at it, allegedly. And it really was a major hit to the entire American GDP. And I think Trump was surprised by that. And he kept nagging on it. Well, he's going to buy it now. He's going to buy the airlines. He's already bought up half of the financial market. Congress just gave him $2.2 to $6.2 trillion over the next 5 years over something that, over what? What exactly did they give him all this money for? I mean, the amount of money they just gave him dwarfs anything. I understand there's a coronavirus. I get it. But I'm trying to get people to look at different people are using this situation for different things. And I think people should be paying really close attention to Trump, because it seems like regardless of how this all started, he's using it to his advantage the best. When was the last time anybody talked about a Democrat? Now I understand they shut down his Trump rallies, but you know what? The election isn't for several months, and there will be more Trump rallies, and they will be bigger than they ever were. But when was the last time you seriously talked about a Democrat candidate for president? The only Democrats that have been in the news are Newsom and Cuomo, and that should make you wonder about a brokered convention. But I don't know what to tell you guys. Either Q's real and we're in the middle of the storm, or Trump just put out a universal basic income, increased unemployment for a full year for full benefits, nationalized over half the financial market, and nationalized the airlines. What are the progressives going to run on? This is crazy. I don't even know how to take it. I guess if I put myself in that low fear state of, oh my God, this virus is going to kill us all, if I get into that low vibrational state, I can kind of see the perspective of, like, we have to do whatever we have to do. It's all over the TV. It's all over everything. It's the coronavirus. If I start feeling that and really put myself there, I can kind of see it. But I just, I don't know if it just never, I don't know. Because after 9/11, I was one of the first ones. Hey, sign me up. But Venezuela, North Korea, Syria, Iran, all of those situations just came off really obtuse, and I wasn't falling for it, and neither was anybody I knew. And they did try to get us into a war with all those countries. They did try to do that. And when none of that worked, they did do this. I don't care what anybody says. That's the order it happened in. And if you want to put some causality there, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But my personal opinion is, when all those fake wars didn't work, that's when we got this. And it feels like to me that one group of controllers was aware that the other group of controllers was going to pull this trigger as their last hoorah. And it seems like the group of controllers that Trump is running with, they saw this coming a mile down the road, and they've actually taken better advantage of it than the cabal. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know. Like, share, subscribe.